Well, good evening, everybody. This is Marty from Dawgs blog, and I didn't turn everything on here, so let me do that now. I'm being a dumbass. Oh well. Okay, we'll try it again. And I'm going to take my time at the beginning of the podcast from now on because people are just starting to come in and follow along. So the ones that like to listen live. So. Good evening, this is Marty from Dawgs blog, and tonight's podcast, Dawgs blog podcast, on January 29, 2019. If you listen to the noon report, you know that we had a strange happening this morning. A gentleman came in and he caught kind of everybody in the audience attention. He came in and sat down. He was really intent on watching the jury. It looked to me like maybe he was looking for somebody in particular. I don't know. And then apparently he took a picture or two of the jury. And the bailiff had already talked to him a couple of times already. And then when he took the picture, that was kind of freaked out the jurors a little bit, and understandably so. So he was talked to quite a bit outside. They ended up calling somebody from patrol over, and they did file a report on that. He has been cited for contempt of court. His phone has been confiscated. There was a flash that drew the attention of the picture being taken. Gentleman may not be very bright. I don't know. And his name was Ricardo Serrano. So, I don't know what that was all about, but he, like I said, he has been cited for contempt of court. He comes back on February 27th at 9 a.m. before Judge Zuniga to deal with that issue. He did not want a public defender. He wanted his own attorney. Apparently there was some type of claim that he says he is a reporter. Nobody seems to know him. He didn't have any credentials. So he's definitely not from Dawgs blog, because I wouldn't have a nutcase like that, but okay, whatever. So he, like I said, he did say he was a reporter, and so who knows? That will all come to pass down the road. Marlissa Ferreira, the jury was called up around 1:45 this afternoon. And Marlissa Ferreira started her redirect with Robert Woody. The thing this morning kind of messed everything up. She had started, ended up stopping because of the interruption. And she showed him picture number 735, which was... Robert Woody had looked at the pages. It was his plea agreement, pages 1 and 2. And he said it was signed by Martin Baker and Robert Woody himself. She asked him to look at subsection A, where the testimonial agreement is, and he kind of got a funny look on his face because that kind of went over his head. But it said that he's to testify completely and truthfully. That meant to Robert Woody that she asked him what he thought that meant, and he says that he would lose his deal. He said he did go through the stipulated facts with his attorney, who was Martin Baker at the time, and there was an objection to Marlissa Ferreira showing those papers to Robert Woody because they're saying there hadn't been a denial of memory or a do not recall or anything like that, and so there was no reason to refresh his memory at that point. And again, she asked him again if he went through over the document with his attorney. Then he said he didn't recall, and he read the stipulation, the stipulated facts. He did not know who wrote that agreement, whether it was the DA's office, his attorney, or anything like that. In regards to the missing person issue of Corey Kaufman and that situation and his custody status on 3/1 of 14, Marlissa Farah went into. Remember, he was arrested on February 28, 2014. That's the last day of the month, except for leap year, of course, but on February 28th. And so he turned himself in around 8 o'clock at night, and he had like a 7-hour interview or something. And so he went into 3/1 of 14 the next day, early in the morning. During that interview, he had no attorney present. He didn't recall who his first attorney was, whether it was Bruce Perry, Martin Baker. But so she asked him, well, who'd you meet first? And he said, well, I think it was Bruce Perry. She asked him if there's anywhere in the agreement that says he has to testify to the stipulated facts. Objection. Things kind of deteriorated pretty quickly this afternoon, too. So she asked him where he lived at the time, and if it was at 1130 East Street in Turlock with his family members. And he said yes, it was Beverly Woody, his mom, Brian Woody, his brother, Robert Woody Jr., his son, Brian Coates, I believe he said was a cousin, or I believe he said it's a cousin, Robert Branco is a cousin, Mary Woody, Pebbles Woody, and somebody by the name of Diana. He had worked at Pop and Cork for 9 years. She asked him about the third point of the stipulated facts. There was an objection, long sidebar, and these sidebars were not going good this afternoon. Trust me, they were very animated. And I'll get into more on that in a little bit as we progress here. So she came back and she talked about, on cross-examination by the defense, he said his belief of stipulated facts, what they were, and she's asking, did he really know what those were? He says, well, no. He did not recall it saying what he had to testify to. He says he was just going to testify to the facts. Robert Woody said in his mind and his heart he knew what to testify to. He did not have a copy of that agreement while he was testifying, either previously or now. On cross-examination, he was asked to describe Corey Kaufman's shirt. And she was showing People's number 3, which is a picture of the shirt that Corey Kaufman is wearing. Asked him if he recognized it. Objection. They got past that. It's because of the way she's asking questions is what she's doing. And it really started a little bit of a shitstorm. He said it was the shirt that Corey Kaufman is wearing. Remember, he's saying that he's only wearing a t-shirt. She showed him People's number 4. There was an objection. They straightened it out. And he said, yes, those were the boots that were on Corey Kaufman. So she went to show him People's number 2. Again, objection. And then she went on to another subject, and she talked about the interview with Steve Jacobson. And we all knew where she was going. She was going towards the jacket on this. And because remember, Robert Woody on cross said there was no jacket. In fact, he said it on Marlissa's Ferreira's direct that there was no jacket. So they went into a sidebar on that. It was a long sidebar. It was a very animated sidebar. So when she came back, Marlissa Ferris asked him how many total interviews has he done. Well, he says he doesn't know. She asked him if he first talked to investigators at Poppenkork. And he wasn't sure, but he thought so. Any conversations with the Outlaws about that first interview, he says, I do not recall. Was there ever a time when Balji, in July of 2012, had called him to Poppenkork to talk about law enforcement and his prior anytime he talked to law enforcement or any prior conversations, he says he did not recall. Ever get talked to by anyone about talking to law enforcement officers? He said that Bobby said, keep your mouth shut. Woody said that, he admitted this about himself. He said he didn't know how to talk right to cops because he has a major mistrust of cops. Again, there was an objection. Jai Gohill was leading the charge on this one. They went to a sidebar again, very animated sidebar, and the jury was sent out at 2:22 p.m. and Woody was sent out, and this is where it hit the fan. The court reporter, the judge said, and the court reporter confirmed it, they were all talking at the same time. They were all upset. They were all going at it. So they don't really, nobody knows what anybody was really saying. Marlissa Ferrer said she was just clarifying on who he was talking to, or who he spoke to. And she said this is everything that Robert Woody has said in the cross, in the direct and cross. Now, Jai Gohill had made an objection and asked for a sidebar. Judge Iniga says, no, I know what it is, but no, you don't get a sidebar. And this is prior to this last sidebar, and this is where things went to... She always said she gives him sidebars, but she told him no. And so Jai Gohill says objection. He says it's misconduct on the district attorney's part. And what they're complaining about, again, is that Marlissa Ferrer is leading the witnesses. And it's an ongoing problem. It's getting worse as we go in, longer we go into this trial. And Marlissa Ferrer claims it was misconduct on Jai Gohill's part because he said that in front of the jury. Whenever she gets caught doing something, she mounts an aggressive offensive and deflects. She says the defendants are saying all kinds of comments. Marlissa Ferrer said if she did say those type of things, that she would be chastised, extremely chastised by the judge. And the judge says, because she says the judge holds her to a different standard, and the judge says, you're right, you're a prosecutor. I hold you to a higher standard. You don't have a standard for convictions. You have a standard for justice. And you're supposed to set the standard. So that kind of shut down that argument. Attorney Hans argued that Marlissa Ferreira, as they were walking over to the sidebar, Marlissa Ferreira also said that Kurt Bunch heard all the comments that were being made by the defense. I don't know. And Hans Hjortson said that as she was walking over to the sidebar in front of the defense attorney's table, called them pieces of shit. Now, I didn't hear it, but other people in the gallery said they did. So I don't know. I personally didn't hear it. Hahn said Marlissa Ferrer is constantly leading the witnesses. He says that Robert Woody had given an answer, and then Marlissa Ferrer had added on to his answer in the end, so he in fact was testifying for Robert Woody. He says her actions aren't inappropriate. The ongoing nature of what's going on is misconduct. So everybody's accusing everybody of misconduct here. Jai Gohil said some people heard the comments in the gallery, and apparently some did. I personally didn't, but I'm usually writing so fast I'm not paying attention to much. He said Marlissa Ferrer has had this issue of leading the witnesses for this entire trial, and it's gotten worse the last few months. He says she is coaching from the counsel table. Robert Woody has answered the questions after Marlissa Ferreira gives him the identical response in the prior question that's leading, objected to. She re-asks it, but he has the answer now. This is an ongoing thing. He said Marlissa Ferreira is testifying for the witness repeatedly. Percy Martinez argued it's a continued course of conduct. The court continually tells her to stop, and she still does it. She'll turn around and do it immediately after she's told not to. The defense, Percy said the defense made in limine motions to stop the leading, and Marlissa Ferreira still continues to do so. Judge Zuniga noted that, Percy Martinez said that Judge Zuniga has repeatedly sustained the leading questions objections, and Marlissa Ferreira still does it. So there's no downside to her doing it if nothing's done about it. Marlissa Ferreira said she was only trying to clarify the answer given by Robert Woody. Marlissa Ferreira says it is up to the judge to deal with Jai Gohil's comments in front of the jury. Judge Iniga, who feels apparently that she's so insightful about some of this stuff, says the jury has learned the problem that the attorneys have with each other, namely Marlissa Ferreira and Jai Gohil. She has struck comments many times, so she admits it. Yes, she's done it. Marlissa Ferreira feels she... with Marlissa Ferreira, the judge Zuniga feels that she is banging her head against the wall and never seen a prosecutor have this many problems asking proper questions, quote unquote. Robert Woody had paused in his answer, and Marlissa Ferreira continued with his answer with her comment. She was testifying. She was reading the transcript of the question that Marlissa Ferreira asked, the question and answer. Marlissa Ferreira claimed that she was clarifying, but Judge Zuniga said she was not clarifying, but testifying for him and leading. Judge Zuniga says she needs to clarify the question and tells Marlissa Ferreira that she has fallen into an old habit of leading, and she said it wasn't too bad when the case started, but it slowly deteriorated into her doing this very badly, very bad habit that she has of doing that. So Marlissa Ferreira wanted to change the subject and talked about the hoodie that she wants Woody to testify to. Remember, Woody, on even direct, said Corey Kaufman was wearing a T-shirt. Even on cross-examination, he said Corey Kaufman was wearing a T-shirt. They asked him about a jacket or a hoodie, and he got a funny look on his head and said, no, there was no jacket, there was no hoodie. He said he was wearing a T-shirt. Judge Aniga had pulled up the transcript of the direct exam by Marlissa Farah, and Marlissa was asking the injuries and the bullet holes, and Woody had testified that he's wearing a T-shirt that had a logo on the front. It had the boat, whatever it was, logo on the front. He was wearing nothing else in his upper body, of course. Just a T-shirt. Marlissa Ferreira at this point kept interrupting the judge and not let her finish a sentence, and I don't know why the judge allows her to do that, but it's a constant ongoing thing. And Marlissa Ferreira said on 8/15/15 interview, and that was when the walkthroughs were, the day after the Don B. Jacobson interview, Robert Woody said there was a possibility of a hoodie after he was prompted by Dombey the night before. She said also Robert Woody says a T-shirt and a hoodie. She says he's kind of confusing the two, as a hoodie and a T-shirt are the same. Robert Woody said the logo was on the hoodie, but does not know the difference of the hoodie and the T-shirt. Well, the logo was on the T-shirt, not the hoodie. Judge Aniga said she needs to read for herself to confirm. Marlissa Ferreira said they didn't talk about the clothing on the March 1st of 2014 interview. And remember, that's the first one that he had when he was taken into custody. But she said, Judge Zuniga says they did, and she just read it to her. Marlissa Ferrer's in a zone, and she doesn't want to listen to anybody. And Judge Zuniga just read it out of the transcript. And Robert Woody said something about the clothing, and it was just a T-shirt in that interview. Judge Aniga also reads it is clear on the 8/14/15 interview. Remember, that's with Dombey and Jacobson. Robert Woody talks about the T-shirt and with the logo on it. And on 8/15/15, the next day when they did the walkthrough of the properties, Robert Woody clearly states it was a T-shirt and not a jacket. Steve Jacobson had asked about a hoodie, but Robert Woody says it was a T-shirt. Marlissa Ferrer couldn't let it go and kept saying Robert Woody said it was a possibly wearing a hoodie. And that the possibly part, I think, is where she kept running into trouble there. And she was, again, arguing with Judge Aniga about the evidence, T-shirt, hoodie, potato, almond. What he said, it was a T-shirt with a logo on it. And the hoodie didn't have a logo on it. Hans argued Marlissa Ferrer is not working in good faith of Robert Woody's representation of his testimony, representing his testimony. She's trying to morph it and trying to actually testify for him. Jai Gohill argued the DA presentation of the hoodie, the jacket, on the mannequin. Remember, they had the mannequin months ago. That it was from the waist up mannequin with a head on it. That this jacket was on to show the bullet holes, the alleged bullet holes in the jacket, and it had a light that lit up on the inside, like it was like lit up like a heart or a sign of life or something. The judge didn't like it, and she didn't allow her to turn the light on because she said it represented something else. So the jacket has not been linked into any type of reality with Robert Woody's testimony. Marlissa's trying to lead Robert Woody into testimony the way that she wants, Marlissa Ferreira wants it to go. Marlissa Ferreira said the photo that she wanted to show Robert Woody with the jacket was a photo that was collected at this picture that was taken at the scene. Robert Woody can attest to the jacket at the scene because she says he was there. And they're saying too that she doesn't have the proper foundation to ask these questions because they haven't established that there was even a jacket on Corey Kaufman based on Robert Woody's testimony. She says there is foundation as Robert Woody's connection to the body. She's not allowed. Why she's not going to be allowed to use the picture. The judge kept telling her, "No, I'm not going to allow it. There's no testimony about a jacket." The judge has said it over and over again, and she can't let it go. Judge Iniga says, again, this is not the issue because she's misstating the law about the foundation and all this stuff that she's allowed to do this. She's trying to do something else, and I don't understand a lot of this stuff, but it sounds like she's trying to establish that there was a hoodie there without Robert Woody saying that he saw a hoodie. How can he testify that there's a hoodie there when he repeatedly said he was only wearing a t-shirt? And Judge Iniga says, again, she's misstating the issue. It's actually a different issue. The record says that Robert Woody said it was a t-shirt with a logo, not a jacket. She said that repeatedly. Robert Woody said he never saw a jacket, so she says there's no foundation. You're not going to do it. So finally, they got done with that, and the jury came back up around 3:38. It got kind of nasty. They had to take some breaks and stuff like that to let everybody cool off. Everybody was accusing everybody else of calling names, and she even threw a few darts at Frank Carson, and she threw some more mudslinging at Jai Gohel, and the sidebar. I can't hear the sidebars, of course, but it was pretty animated, and everybody was worked up over there too. So I guess the court reporter couldn't even get everything on record. So the jury back up at 3:38. Robert Woody back on the stand. And he says he doesn't talk right to law enforcement officers. He gets confused and he doesn't trust them. He says he doesn't say the right things. Gee, you think? He had one law enforcement, or an interview with law enforcement at the back of the store. I think he said that Dee was with him back in the bar room. He did not recall who the interview was with. She asked him if it was Officer Ken Berenger. He says, "Well, yeah, maybe. Kind of sounds familiar." It's unknown when he talked to Ken Berenger. He did not recall exactly where. It could have been in the back of the store. He wasn't sure. On the March 1st of 2014 interview, that was at the district attorney's office. His dad was outside. His brother was on the outside in the waiting room waiting for him. Candy Watts, the mother of his kid, was on the outside. They were all there. They all thought that he was going to go home that night. He was just being interviewed. He was allowed to speak to them after the bathroom break. Before they went back in the interview room, or during the bathroom break, I should say. And Steve Jacobson was in the bathroom when he went to the bathroom. Of course, he got to have an officer with him. And he was in the bathroom a couple of minutes. He got to talk to... Steve Jacobson said that he needs to be truthful and come out. He did come out of the bathroom and talk to Candy Watts. Now, I don't know if Steve Jacobson or anybody else was talking to the family out in the waiting room or not. We haven't heard anything about that. But Candy, he told Candy Watts it was going to be a while. He gave her his jacket that he had on, the money he had in his pockets. Candy Watts, he said, told her to take care and just get it over with. It was like she thought he was going to be out of there in a little while, just get done with the interview. Candy Watts didn't really know. Robert Woody said she didn't really know what was going on. He didn't really recall anything else that was said. He did not recall telling her what was said in the interview, what the interview was about. Again, there was an objection, which ended up being withdrawn after a long sidebar. And then Marlissa Ferrer asked him on cross. They talked about, he told his private investigator to say, his private investigator told him to say what they want to say. And Steve Jacobson told him just to say what they want to hear. So he was getting pressure, it sounded like from his private investigator a little bit, or he's confused. I am a little bit now too. But the private investigator, he might have been telling the private investigator what they're trying to get him to say something that's not true. It was hard to figure out. Tom's report hopefully will be up a little bit later, and maybe he got a better grip on it than I did. He was asked if Steve Jacobson tell him what they want to hear, and he said, well, no. He says, why would I tell investigators? I don't know. I just said it. His answers. I'm still confused on what he's trying to say. He was confused about what he was being asked. What he's saying now is the truth, and at the time he just said some things. He said he told partial truths, some not truths. Not sure why he said some of the things he said. He just said it. Probably because, again, his mistrust for law enforcement. As you sit here today, she asked him, did Steve Jacobson say, just tell us what we want to hear? There's no other twist. Talk to him during the bathroom break. He says no. Steve Jacobson, I don't recall ever saying anything like that. Candy Watts had said to him, just talk to them and see if you get to go home tonight. So she was hoping that he would go home. This was going on, until early morning hours, and they thought that he was going to be released. He said he does not trust law enforcement officers when he's arrested, and that is due to his past experiences with them. They'll tell him one thing, they'll do another. They'll tell him if he talks, he gets to go home, and then he talks, and then he goes to jail. He gets lied to, and he gets booked. She asked him if he first said that you don't know Corey Kaufman or anything about it because of the mistrust. And then that changed a little bit after the bathroom break. Again, there was a lot of leading questions going on. Now, I understand Robert Woody is difficult to get information out of. That doesn't make it open season to do as you want. And so she was asking about some of the statements in regards to law enforcement officers and trusting. He called him Jake. Robert Woody called Steve Jacobson Jake, which is Steve Jacobson's nickname, along with Juice. And so there was a lot of leading questions, objections during that time. Again, finally, the judge stops everything for just a second and tells the jury, you've been hearing, this is the judge addressed the jury, you've been hearing a lot of objections that have been sustained as far as leading questions. Just so you're clear, a leading question is when an attorney is trying to tell a witness the answer to their question in their question. And so she'd been telling Marlissa Ferreira, and she'd been chastising her a little bit in slight ways. She pretty much gave the jury an admonishment about, or clarified to the jury about what a leading question is, and I think she did that for Marissa Ferreira's benefit. So Woody felt that he felt more comfortable with Jacobson, but he says that Jake never told him what to say. In the interview on 3/1 of 14, he had said that they went straight to the mountains with the body, and there was no burying of the body at Poppencork. Said he was holding back because he was scared and nervous, because he was told to keep his mouth shut. He just put some of the information, but not all of it, out there. Finally, he started talking, and partial truths started coming out. And Marlissa Ferreira asked him, did you adopt anything that Steve Jacobson had told you? And he said, Robert Woody said yes, but I'm not sure he really understood the question. I'm not sure he understands much of anything. He said the beating, or Marlissa Ferreira asked him, with the beating and the shooting and the dumping, were those true or untrue? He said the beating was true on Frank Carson's property, yes. He said it's all true statement. We were at the end of the day. It was about 4:06, and finally the judge stopped for the day and sent the jury out. So it was really a strange day. We had a gentleman taking pictures in the morning, and again, his name is Ricardo Serrano. If anybody knows him, let me know. With his, he looked like possibly, a 50-year-old white man, but with that name, he could be a light Hispanic too. And he caught everybody's attention when he first came in. So, and then he started taking pictures. So, he got caught on that. So, and then he was escorted out of the building after they did a report and cited him for contempt. So, that's about it. Another one of those hectic days. Scheduling issue tomorrow, 10 o'clock. Everybody comes in at 10 o'clock. There's a jury issue with one of the jurors' kids has to go to the dentist or something. So we're starting at 10 o'clock. Thursday, we're probably going to start at 9 or 9:30. There's no court Friday. There's a jury issue on Friday, and we're going to be seeing more and more of this. So, and this is what the defense attorneys are concerned about, are losing jurors and them fading off. And so they're concerned about these pictures taken. The jurors were concerned. They really were, and they rightfully so. So when they got their picture taken in court. So that's where we're at. Don't forget, I have the PayPal button on the bottom of each report, each post I put up. I have my post office box on the website. If you want to send me a check, Marty Carlson Services, you can send me cash, however you want to do it. But the post office box 1115 in Houston, and don't forget my sponsor, Merced Tile Supply. Good guy over there. He really is, and I'm not just saying that. He really is. So he'll take care of your tile needs over there, and he likes Bikini Friday, Bikini Friday. So anyway, so keep in mind your tile needs, and he's got, he doesn't have, no, I don't think he has any linoleum, carpet, any of that stuff. It's all tile. There's a video on my page. If you look for it, it's in the top of the page, and you can see some of the displays he has and stuff. It really looks nice. So that's all I got. As I always say, don't take my word for it. Come to court and find out for yourself. Good night, everybody.